moon above Earth that we see is not a real moon. It's not a real planet. It's never been a real planet. It's not ours. It's never been ours, really. It's an ancient satellite, ancient spy satellite that's hollow in nature, and it was originally brought here, actually. It was hollowed out of a real original dead planet. It was reconstructed with artificial materials, internally and externally, and the internal part came first. It was made, the outer shell, by the stone type of rock, same type of materials that were used during the attack on the dinosaurs many years ago, of course, during the time the dinosaurs walked the earth, and this was done by 6th density Palladian humanoid race named Tikrit from the planet Tikrit, but same type of stone, same type of mix of materials, mix of stones, including granite. And these stones were used to create the outer shell of the moon, and that's what we see today. We see this gray color or silver color, but it's not really gray. There's a holographic technology used, of course, to hide the true surfaces of the moon, including the craters and the activity. And back then, when the moon was originally created, it was hollowed out of a dead planet. The additional structures were added after. They were delivered after. They were inserted inside of this hollow portion on the inside. Bases were created, prison systems, electronics, weaponry, even the main central artificial intelligence supercomputer was inserted, the landing pads. Holographic technology back then was not really used as it does today, but they've built a massive system and it specialized in telegraphic technology. And this whole moon landing video that we see, that we saw in the 60s, is obviously not true. It's never been true. It's not authentic. That was shot here on Earth in the studio, and there's a tremendous amount of mistakes that were even done with that video, ranging from dust particles, light, because they've used electrical lights, not sunlight. Glitches and screw-ups are all over that video, including the flag issues. That little can, that little piece of shit can that they pretended to be a vehicle, I mean, that could have been made in anyone's garage. That was obviously not the real thing that was shot up on the moon. The mobility movements of astronauts in the video, I mean, the fake picture of the Earth right in the background, that's already been proven that that's not real. So that video is certainly not real. That video was shot here for several different reasons, and one of the reasons is that Americans already knew that there is life on moon, and they knew the races that lived there, and they had telepathically communicated with the races before they shot the projectile to go up there, or the space shuttle, the shuttle program. Second reason is that nothing on the moon could have been shown to humans. They knew that very well in advance. That would have created a tremendous amount of panic on Earth if humans knew who really is on the moon, which races are on the moon, which structures are there, functioning structures, not just the leftover structures, the leftover pyramids and obelisks. No, the real structures, current real structures. Yes, and Americans and Russians and French and even Chinese and Germans, the Nazis, they were all on the moon at the same time, relatively around the same time. Multiple astronauts before their own death, in their memoirs, in their legal wills, in videos and statements and letters, in their attorney letters, in their family letters, they've already admitted that moon is hollow. The moon is occupied by a tremendous amount of races, that the landing moon video was completely faked. The moon, the video was selected by extraterrestrials, by William Tompkins, 1 and 2, Len Kasten books, hundreds of videos on Gaia TV and many different documentaries. Even the Hollywood producer Kubrick, before his own death. I mean, these are all individuals and groups that have already shown, proven and stated the moon is hollow and the video was fake that we saw on the TV. And these robots we see today that go on the moon, and these little rovers and so forth, this is all CGI. This is all created here on Earth, including here in northern Canada. These are not real things. Humans are not allowed to just freely land on the moon and televise it. That's not like that. And back in the 60s, the technology was so primitive, so basic, that they had absolutely no ability to even land on the moon. They knew that they cannot reach the moon, so they needed assistance by extraterrestrial races in that area to land them safely. Americans said that $175 billion was spent on this program, and they have no idea where the schematics are, where the blueprints are, where anything is. They completely lost it. They lost all the designs. This was their official statement. I mean, this is a childish humor. $175 billion you spent back in the 60s, and you have no idea how you did it. Where's the evidence? Where's the schematic? And that's why they're not going back? No, they're not going back because they were told not to go back. They were definitely authentic and genuine space missions to the moon or around the moon. They circled the moon. They didn't land on the moon. They circled the moon. And the Zeta Reticuli group, the Zeta Reticuli or the Greys, they really knew that, and they telepathically communicated with the secret governments. And then they were already located on the moon at that time. This is the group that promised the United States government that they will land that shuttle safely. Americans knew that prior to the launching, way prior to the launching. So eventually when the launch went up, the shuttle went up, and the Greys or the Zetas were able to use the technology, landed safely without crashing. And the issue with the whole Zeta thing, they never had any permission to do that. So the only reason that the capsule even landed in the first place is because the Zetas assisted. And as I said, they had no permission to do that. And the agreement between the Americans and the Zetas was there, intact, absolutely. It's just that the real custodians of the moon, very similar custodians of the Earth, but custodians of the moon, they never allowed it. At the time, technology that human governments had definitely was not good enough in any way that would land a shuttle safely. I mean, Josip Broz Tito, the president of Yugoslavia, sold the space program to the American president in the 50s or 60s. That's how Americans even got the program, and it wasn't perfected. So it took 2 different American presidents to finally perfect it. But either or, the shuttle program could have not landed on the moon. Everyone knows this. But upon the landing of the moon, originally Zetas were there, another humanoid race of extraterrestrials were there also, but very briefly. They were also told to beat it until a group of reptilians who were sent by the Alpha Draconian Empire, who really owns the moon, was sent there, and they confronted the astronauts. And when they confronted the astronauts, it was at a distance of, from my understanding, of 200 to 400 feet or so. It was done telepathically. The humans were enabled their telepathy, and there was no battles, there was no hostility, there was no wars, weapons used, nothing. It was just a simple diplomatic conversation, which was negative in nature, really. And the reptilian being really explained a few things. He explained first and foremost that the Zeta Reticuli group, the Greys, had no authorization whatsoever to assist humans in any landing whatsoever on the moon. They didn't care for the circling around the moon, prior missions. They cared about the landing. So this race, the Zetas, had absolutely no permission to do that and assist humans or any other race, really. And the Zeta councils were responsible by the Alpha Draconian councils shortly after. So not only were the Zetas not in charge of the moon, they actually weren't even supposed to be there. They were allowed to visit and so forth, but not make introductions to other races. And to them, we're just a new race. We're just a hybrid race. We're a primitive race to these guys. So the moon landing, the whole moon landing thing was just a big mess when it occurred up there. And they understood also that the Earth-based reptilian population, 800 million, is the ones that really run Earth. And they never gave permission to any American government employee or the top brass of the American government that the landing could occur. So humans were arrogant enough, and they did this on their own, like a bunch of cowboys in the wild, wild west. The reptilian being also explained that the Draconians, or the Earth-based reptilian, only can permit any landing on the moon at that time, yeah. Reptilians told you humans to go back. Obviously, they're never to come back, and if they do, they'll be shut down. And this is why, even since I think the 70s or 72, humans never went back to the moon or something of that sort. All the missions after they went, they were only circulating space. They never went and landed on the moon. There was no moon landing after, as far as what was televised and showed to the public. And it's never going to happen again, regardless of what the fake news television says. These moon landing things have completely stopped. These trips will never happen again. It's just not how it works, and it's not how moon custodians would even consider allowing this. There are secret space programs. There are black op programs, absolutely. And they've been going around for like 50 years. And they're especially strong now with our own human man-made crafts and our technology, free energy technology type things. So these things existed for a very, 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 very long time, not in any recent time with the Trump or Biden or Obama. Those kind of announcements, no, absolutely not. But this has been going on for a very long time. The real custodians of the moon are the Alpha Draconian Empire, several different races from the Empire, and that are affiliated with the Empire. And also they are affiliated with a lot of the business that they do on planet Saturn and also planet Mars and surrounding moons, surrounding star systems. I mean, they're really the most dominant force in our galaxy, or at least our part of the galaxy. There are human type of technologies that can take humans and the secret military to the moon. It takes anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes. That's the flight. It's very fast. There are jump rooms that can be taken there. That's like a 6-second trip and so forth. And I never really got into too serious about the programs. I know certain people within the program are authentic, not all these fake, fraudulent super soldiers that are out there on the internet, but like real authentic ones. Plus with the knowledge from Europe and Russia and Eastern Europe where I was born and so forth. But the whole moon thing is, it's a big lie. It's actually a hollowed out planet, spy satellite. It was delivered here, it was brought here, as there was actually no moon at one point, and then in the history, and there were 2 moons that were brought over. Then one was brought back because 2 of them were too much for the planet. Then they left one, but the whole inside was completely reconstructed. It was completely redesigned. The structures were literally delivered and inserted and installed on the hollow portion of this particular satellite. Bases, equipment, labs, electronics, weaponry, including the main supercomputer, artificial intelligence in nature. And there's an emergency craft there that's literally like size of a country that just sits there in case of problems. And Moon itself over the years really has been, I'll use the word hijacked. It's been fought over many, many times by different extraterrestrial races. Because Moon itself, it's such a powerful spy satellite that controls the entire transmission of the energy on Earth. And planet Saturn has a connection to it, of course, but it has many different other advantages and points and purposes. But this is extremely critical to some races. They desire a full control over Earth, particularly this central artificial intelligence type of supercomputer, computer that our words cannot explain. We can use the word quantum 10 times, but it's not that, it's much more advanced than that. And these bases are used now, obviously, by covert military programs, for negotiation, for drop-off things, trading, prison systems, also genetic type of lab testing, cloning facilities, a variety of different black ops, And there's different type of planets around us where humanoid type of beings are living. We're not the only humans in our part of the galaxy, obviously. There are many, many human colonies on Moon right now. The artificial intelligence central computer that's within, it's not really the only thing that's the most important thing there, but there are different layers and zones and areas, or we can even use the word floors or type of regions within this hollow satellite. There's an entire prison system on Moon, sleeping corridors, a monitoring station, but the main central computer is the most important thing in relation to the Moon. It controls everything, controls a lot of different frequencies that are coming and leaving Earth. But of course, our televisions are not going to explain us this. There are numerous pyramids also on the Moon. They're perfectly created, flawlessly created, just like we see the pyramids of the Giza, which were not created by Egyptians 5,000 years ago. That's a lie. I've done 3 videos on Giza. But the obelisk structures, also the ancient antennas, the tunnels, the entrances into the Moon. There's several different entrances. There's craters with literal like just bases all over, but they got holograms on the top so that they cannot be observed very, very easily. And I remember when I visited Moscow, Russia in 2018 for the Interpologics Expo, Military Intelligence Expo, they had many different things there that had the technology that I've never even seen in Canada or United States. But a friend of mine who was there had very strong ties with the Museum of the Cosmonautics in downtown Moscow, so the main one. And I remember looking at some very rare photos, extremely unedited photos the Russians took. And yeah, there's so many structures on the Moon. There are ships on the Moon, crashed crafts on the Moon, weapons, antennas, bases, lights on the Moon. Of course, this cannot be released in the public. I mean, my own grandfather, on my mom's side, who was an Eastern European engineer, military engineer, and he lived in Baghdad, Iraq for 6 years, working directly for Saddam Hussein, building certain military airports and underground bases and so forth. And all of the engineers across Europe from different Eastern European countries, ranging from Bulgaria to Romania to Yugoslavia, they all knew that the Moon video released in America was completely faked. Everybody knew that, including the Russian and the Ukrainian, but also Yugoslavian engineers, Yugoslavians who sold the space program to Americans. They all knew that. And also too, with Moon, it's much lighter than what we're told. It's much closer than what we're told. It's much bigger than what we're told. It's not the same size of Texas or Australia. It's way bigger than that. And yeah, it occupies an unlikely orbit, but Moon is a very malevolent place. Very, very negative energy. Nothing to do with love, light, meditation, as some confused, weak, pathetic spiritual healers and fake channelers and psychics are saying. The cult, the New Age cult, Galactic Federation of the Lights, and the Ashtar Command cult that's out there saying, pray to the Moon, worship the Moon, surrender to the Moon, meditate to the Moon. It'll fill up your heart and chakras with energy. I mean, whoever is making these retreats and these meditation seminars is absolutely, personally believe, ludicrous. They should be banned from the internet. I mean, they are leading the public into giving up their own energy to a super artificial intelligence computer that is run by some very, very powerful 6th density races. Moon is not a positive place. And the whole moon being described by astral travelers, including very powerful authentic psychics, authentic channelers. I'm an authentic channel, I'm a reptilian channeler, so a variety of different channels will say the same thing. I mean, when we remote view into places, when we look at things in the astral, moon is the opposite of positive. Moon has to be one of the most malevolent places within our own area of Earth and surrounding planets. Black military operatives know this. Black military covert operation personnel, some of the authentic ones, not the new age cult who they're all calling themselves super soldiers. Every third video on YouTube is a super soldier talk, which is inaccurate. It's completely faked. It's deceptive, and through them, obviously, I can see into the layers, many more layers as humans cannot see, and many others can. But yeah, there's a lot of fraud with that. But they're certainly very authentic secret space programs, and humans have been involved in this for a very long time. French government, Brazilian government, not Canadian, but American government obviously is one of the top players. Russia, China, and so forth. Even actually in Australia, and there are many islands that are around the world, including in the western United States, near Hawaii and a couple other places. There's one in Canada near Alaska that are used as launching pads to shoot the shuttles onto the moon, so 35 to 45 minute shuttles, and some secret submarine bases too. The moon itself, when it comes to controlling the magnetic field of the Earth, that's actually very true, but the moon's artificial energy, the beams, the electromagnetic frequencies, it also controls the Earth in a way because it beams these frequencies. And it's partially responsible for the Moon-Earth matrix, or Moon-Earth-Saturn matrix that we live in. And Saturn, planet Saturn, which is also controlled by the Alpha Draconian Empire, certainly has a connection to the Moon and Earth, absolutely. And Moon is a really manipulating place. It's an unconscious force, a very negative, malevolent energy, borderline extraordinarily negative energy, and has nothing to do with being positive. And I advise highly everybody, obviously, not to give out their energy and have their energy harvested by the moon. And the NASA tells us very, very little, obviously, about the moon, particularly with their heavily photoshopped pictures. Russian Space Agency is a little bit more liberal about it. They're very more truthful and transparent, very more caring to what they release to the public. Michael Vassia and Alex Shreberov, I believe, are the two astronauts who were featured in the Sputnik magazine, and they said moon is completely hollow, not a planet in any way. And they're not just the only two guys. There's a lot of different European and American and a couple of Canadian, including the Defense Secretary of Canada, Paul, passed away a couple of years ago. I mean, everyone knows that the moon itself and the surface itself, it's artificial in nature. There's more traffic on the moon than at a local Costco. Moon has many different things that it features, but things that I'm allowed to say in the video, or things that are be allowed to be said, of course, it has a very major impact on human hormone production. Females know this. Moon allows energy harvest of humans. I mean, spiritual people, astral travelers, channelers, we know this, interdimensional portals. That also allows the entities to come in, the harvesting of energy, crafts, ships, energies that move in between different realms, between there and ours. And Moon knows this because it controls the entire transmission, it controls the visitations, it understands energies connecting to energies. So Moon is certainly not a positive, benevolent place. I mean, that needs to be completely wiped out of everyone's mind. Nazis were on the Moon first in a way where they were competing with the Americans, but Americans were there at the same time. The war didn't happen there, the war happened here, as we saw on TV. So Beach of Normandy and other places across Europe, between Russians and French and British, Canadians, of course, and Americans, but that's the real war. But up there, it was just a competition. British, Russians, Chinese, everybody was on the moon at the same time. The reason why I say Nazis were there first is just simply Nazis made better deals. Nazis made better deals with extraterrestrials than Americans did, than the British did, but all of them made the deals. Moon has always been visited by many different extraterrestrial, extradimensional races, including humanoid races, malevolent humanoid races. They're not from Earth. Reptilian, Greys, Zeta Reticuli, and others, and Alpha Draconians. And these are very deep subjects, of course, but humans cannot find these answers on the internet and television and stuff because everything is so suppressed. There's a tremendous amount of dictatorship that's happening right now on Earth that all the good information is completely gone. So what we see is repeated information that was started as a misinformation. But during World War II, just prior to that, there was a lot of different interactions between humans, so Americans, Russians, Chinese, Nazis, British, French, with extraterrestrial races, ranging from Pleiadians, humanoid Pleiadian races and reptilian races that gave technology to, let's say, Americans and the British, but then also Reptilians and Zetas and the Greys gave technology to the Germans, hence the U-boat idea, and so forth. So all of these human military systems had their own technology that's off-planet technology. So as both sides were equipped with this technology, particularly Nazis, because they made the best deals, it didn't really mean to the extraterrestrial races who won the World War II. They didn't really care. They didn't really care, was it Hitler, was it not, was it British, was it... They didn't even care about that in any way. They don't care about that. That's just human drama, human trauma, human issues, human affairs, human business. They don't care about that. What they cared was energy harvesting, and they cared for the trade-off. Hitler was asked for prisoners. That's a fact, for prisoners, Jewish prisoners. That's one deal he made. So they didn't really care who won the World War II. They knew Hitler's going to lose, and he did. He absolutely did. And he didn't die in Berlin. That's another scam by the Russians. But no, he did escape Berlin, and he went to cross the ocean to another place. So right now on Earth, on Moon itself, there are colonies of humans that's kind of stayed from World War II, and then they reproduce, and then they reproduce. Their entire colonies there right now, including German, American, Russian. They're all still there on Moon. Of course, it's a more of a human area where extraterrestrials don't go to, or secret program personnel or ships do not go to. But to this day, majority of the military budgets in the United States, particularly, I'm very familiar with that one, go to the secret space programs. They don't go to build bridges. They don't go to build schools or better Wi-Fi. No, they certainly will invest majority of their money, secret money. I mean, right now, I remember a reptilian told me once is that the humans government in America is 75 years ahead in development of technology than what they've released to us humans. But they are 2,500 to 3,000 years in advance in secret space program technology. They've been given such advanced technology, including anti-gravity, free energy, and so forth, that we have absolutely no idea. I mean, every 4 years, we got to change a muffler in our car. These guys have shuttles that take you to the moon in 30 minutes. So we're not going to be told that. And I kind of agree with that, because it's not really for everyone's ears. It's not something that a human should hear. Many people cannot handle that information. And being born in Eastern Europe and going to school there, we all knew that the existence of extraterrestrials is real on the moon, only because our fathers and our uncles and their fathers and so forth always talked about that activity, because the majority of them were military officers. It's mandatory to be a military officer in Europe at that time, mandatory, 18 to 24 months. So all of our fathers and the military police and the grandfathers and uncles and cousins, everyone knew of the deals that humans made in World War II with these extraterrestrial or alien races. And for the advanced remote viewers, advanced extraterrestrial contactees, the psychics, and individuals that have advanced psychic abilities and so forth, particularly those ones that are currently involved in the astral programs, so 5th density, 6th density astral programs, human extraterrestrial programs on training and tutoring and so forth. They already know that the moon itself is not what we are told. They know who's on the moon, because during these astral adventures and astral trips and astral projected state, the humans are taken for tours, protected tours, and there's certainly activity on the moon. And as of today, in conclusion, Alpha Draconian Empire, those beings and the Zeta Reticuli beings who work for the Draconian Empire certainly run the moon. They are the true custodians, creators, managers, inventors, implementers, and masters of this artificial hollow satellite, a malevolent satellite, which is called the moon.